I think that many of us struggle today with loneliness, existential loneliness. It's a bit strange because we're living in the most connected period of time in history. Never was there more of a connected time when anything you say gets to be felt by thousands and hundreds of thousands, and you can have millions of followers and listen to your video, and it's like, wow. And you're feeling more lonely than ever. And you could be in the middle of people and around and you feel lonely. And it's not that it's like in spite of all the connectedness that we have, I think that we feel lonely. It's perhaps more because of it. Because what we've done is created a society whereby relationships are very superficial. And so if you have 1 million friends, that means you don't have any. What would you rather have, 1 friend or 1,000 followers? The follower clicks, hi, bye, nice, cool, thumbs up, great, right? And then you look for that relationship and you live on that addiction of the high of receiving that thumbs up from someone, almost as if it means something. It doesn't mean anything, and the likes are nothing. And so we live in an existential loneliness. And I was thinking about this idea because how do you get unlonely? How do you really get connected? What's the path to connectedness? So generally today, when people are feeling lonely, the solution to loneliness is get a relationship. So lately I'm having chats with my kids who are getting into this span of the times of, the age where they need to find a mate in life. And it's fascinating discussion, actually. I was having a chat with one of my kids the other day about, he's like, why should I get married? And it was an interesting, genuine question. And my life is good. I'm enjoying myself. Not like married people seem like they're happier. In fact, maybe the opposite. I don't have anyone to fight with. It's wonderful. Why should I? And I'm in the middle of a long discussion, breaking it down, trying to express, why should you? Marriage is the place where, if done correctly, you overcome loneliness. Now, does that mean that it's easy? Does that mean that it's simple? Nope, not in the slightest bit. It's really, it's a challenge. But when marriage is done correctly, and when 2 human beings are able to blend correctly, then you get an unbelievable relationship. It doesn't have to be done only in the context of marriage. It's also, David and Yehonasan, it says, built an ava she'enet tluya b'davar. They built a love which is not dependent on anything. It was the most beautiful, incredible relationship. And we human beings, Adam hu medini, the Rambam says, a man is a medini. He needs a medina. He needs people. He needs around him. He needs relationships. He needs connections. When you don't have the connection and you don't have the relationship, it's a very lonely spot to be in. So what we want to do is really build relationships. Before we build any relationship with anybody else, though, we need to get in touch with a relationship with ourselves. And that's really hard in a world of this fake connectedness. It's to build a relationship with yourself. And thereby get into a marriage, a relationship with Hashem. Because ultimately, when you get married to someone else, or you build a relationship with someone else, what you're really trying to do is discover your internal self. That means what we are living with and expressing in life is an external, it's like an avatar. It's an external you. It's not the real you. So when you have those 1 million likes, what you're getting is it's touching a certain type of a dopamine, whatever they call it, inside you, and it's expressing that, and you're not getting to touch deep. So what you want to do is stop using your avatar, your external self, and get into a point where you can touch your real, true, internal you. your pnimiyut, your inside. So let's analyze what makes us lonely. What makes us lonely is that life is, teenagers call it, stupid. It's like, at some point they start to realize, you know, you can go on the highway and you see a lot of headlights and at night, and just like, where they all going? They're just going. And that's what life is about. Human beings enter the world, get born, get excited about life, right? Kids, teenagers, they grow. Then they build a life, hopefully they get married, they get connected, and then what happens? They go through life, they work, they want to build something, a new, brand new thing, until they realize, whatever you thought. And then, dor holech, dor ba. One comes, one goes, next up, next up, next up. And everyone does the same thing. Everyone's following like sheep. And the point? That's depressing. That's where loneliness stems from. It's existential loneliness. What's the point? Like, and you live and you die. And what do? Okay, so if you're Jewish, you're doing Torah mitzvahs, and do you think religious people have it different? They ask the same question at some point. So I'll do Torah mitzvah, okay, and then what? Then I get Gan Eden, and the next guy, and what are we doing? Where's the goal? Human beings are forced into a tempo-spatial reality. Time and space. Zman umakum. That's what causes us the existential loneliness. Because you're in this world, and when you're young, you don't know you can't look back. You look at history maybe, but not your own. You look forward to things in your life. Forward is great. You live long enough, and then there's like looking backwards. And it happens pretty quickly. Why? Because we know so much today about everybody else. That's like space. So I look laterally at other people around. I look forward to myself, backwards. Once you're able to look up, down, forwards, and backwards in time and in space, it's very easy to feel abandoned and lonely. And very quickly, you wonder what's the point. Because, look, what have I accomplished in all this time I've been around? And what's the point of further on? And look how many people over there, they have this, they have that. You look around, anywhere but here. Anywhere but the space that I'm on. Like Hashem tells Moshe, the place where you stand on is holy. Now, some would call it being present in the moment, but there's a lot more depth to what it means to be present in the moment. It's about discovering Hashem here. If you're looking always over there to get something from the next moment, from the next space, from a different location, you never find any sense of satisfaction, happiness, meaning, here and now. The Gemara in Chagiga says as follows: Ein atzvus lifnei hamokim. Literally that translates as, there's no sadness in front of Hashem. Hamokim is Hashem. Ein atzvus lifnei hamokim. There's no sadness before Hashem. But there's many names you could use to call Hashem. When you say hamokim, you wonder why you're using the word hamakom. Right? So hamakom is a term we use when you go into a shiva house, you say hamokim minachem eschem tefesha v'etzim Yerushalayim, right? So what does it mean hamokim? The space? Hamokim means Hashem. Why are you calling Hashem place? What's the reason? So the reason is because hu mekomo shel olam bein haolam mekomo. He is the space of the world, and the world is not his space. Hashem is. You want to know what space and time is? He is. And it's maybe one of the most interesting names we call Hashem, hamokim, the place, the space. So when you say ein atzvus lifnei hamokim, we translate it as there's no sadness before Hashem. There's no sadness when you are inside space. Ein atzvut lifnei hamakom. Where do you get sad? When you are in the externality of space, in that avatar. When you're inside, in the pnimiyut, in the internal there's only happiness. So the problem is that we get lost on the externality of things and we don't get to experience the internal side of it. And if we want to discover happiness, so it's not, the Gemara reads as there's no sadness in front of Hashem. So you're like, okay, so what should I do about that? Hashem doesn't get sad. Okay. That's a call to action. Hashem saying, there's no sadness, therefore I want you to be happy. If you want to be with me, be happy. And you say, okay, but I'm really, really sad. Lots going on in my life. It's very depressing. So he's also guiding you how to arrive at happiness. He's telling you there's no sadness, lifnei hamakom. Come inside, in the pnimiyut, bifnim, of space and time. It goes together. If we can enter into the inside of time and space, we discover bliss and happiness. It's only when we live in the externality that we're sad. So what we're going to do now is attempt to work it. And to do that, to go into the inside of time and space. And sometimes when I think about it myself, I like, this is so abstract and so unrealistic and so impossible to the mind of human beings. It's really tough. But then you flip it and you realize we don't got it, no choice. Because you don't want to put in the work, okay, suffer the consequences. It's like, I don't want to get married. Why? Because it's hard and there's so much work in it. Okay, that's one option. It's hard the other way too. Maybe harder. It's like, some people believe in Hashem. And they're like, people who don't believe in Hashem are like, you're so lucky you have just belief in Hashem. You have to believe more to not believe in Hashem. When you believe in Hashem, there's one answer to everything, believe in Hashem. When you don't believe in Hashem, it's so hard. It's like not that you gained anything, you actually have to believe more. So let's jump into this subject. How do we arrive at inside space, inside time? The quest to overcome loneliness is to get married to Hashem. To analyze how you get married, what marriage means, and to see that I'm only feeling abandoned because I'm not married to Hashem. And so when two people get together, my kid was asking me, he's like, so if a boy and a girl get together and they sit across from each other and they talk some more, they talk a little more. Okay, now go spend your life together and have kids and whatever. Like what? What does that mean? How does it come about? And I was thinking, like, that's an interesting perspective. Good question. How does it come about? What's the answer? There's something which, I don't know what the Hebrew word for it is. In English it's called romance. In Hebrew it's called, I think, romantica. Which is interesting why there's no Hebrew word for it. But when a man and a woman sit opposite each other and have a conversation, hopefully in a good shidduch situation, whereby it's a real format, magic happens. It's real magic, meaning something transpires and it stops being a conversation at some point. You're not just talking to each other. You feel the magic in the air, right? Something happens. Too bad that nowadays you have to go to a pier in front of a beautiful skyline and get down on your knees and say, will you marry me, etc. If it's staged, it's not real. If you have to say that, that's not real. Sorry. If it's real, then it's whatever happens. It's certain powerful energies that descend, and it stops being just a conversation between two people. A conversation between a man and a woman goes places very quickly if done in the right circumstances. What's happening is something deep and moving and transformational is happening in that space, and it stops being a conversation and starts being a deep connection and an engagement, which causes, maybe the closest word in Hebrew is tainug. There's a pleasure. That's what romance is. It's a deep internal pleasure that binds the two people together, and then the bacher of a moment ago and the Basula, the girl of a moment ago, suddenly have this yearning for one another, and he wants to go down to her and she wants to rise to him, and they connect. Imagine that we could change regular, normal interactions in this world into that. Just like the guy is speaking to her, the girl, and then suddenly something happens. Imagine you can make that something happen between you and Hashem in every single mundane interaction. That's called going lifnei hamakim. It's paying attention, deep attention, to whatever's transpiring now. The way we live nowadays, this is where the sadness and the loneliness comes from. Is that the voice of time and space. I need to get somewhere. I need to accomplish this. I need to do this. The high-powered executive, experience means I got to go somewhere and do that, and therefore I never get to just be. And if you don't get to be, you become existentially lonely. And when you can go lifnei hamakim, to that deep internal space, it's life transforming. How do you create and stage this marriage? So in the Torah, there's this individual who the Torah describes the first time someone goes out and engages the world. He's a man who is completely divine, enveloped by Hashem's presence. Ish tom yeshiv v'holim. Like a simple man, sitting in the tent of Torah all day, all night. And then he, from 14 years, in yeshiva of Shem De'ever, with nothing else doing, he jumps out into a big bad world and meets and encounters Lavan. The way the Torah describes Yaakov going down to Lavan is in marriage format. Yaakov goes to find a wife. That's what he's going to do. And he arrives there, and the whole story is about Rachel. He works for Rachel for 7 years, gets double-crossed, works for another 7 years for her, and then starts a family. And he's working with sheep and everything, and he builds a family. And Yaakov succeeds and thrives in an impossible turf. The Pri Etz Chaim, authored by Reb Chaim Vital, student of the Arizal, takes this marriage between Yaakov and Rachel, and he says that marriage is what each one of us needs to do in life. Because each one of us is an Ish Tom Yeshiv V'holim. We come from a very holy space above, and we are lowered down into a lowly world, into this place. And what we want to accomplish in this world is to be able to find Hashem in this world. The way you do it is by engaging, step one, your color. By looking at yourself as a bride, as a color. What's the color's name? Rachel. And when you see yourself as a Rachel, things start to change. So again, the default setting in this world is, what do we see ourselves as? It's a very hard question, right? When someone's looking for, what should I do in life? When somebody meets you, they say to you, what do you do? The question of what do you do is, who are you? It's like, who are you? And what's the next step you're going to achieve in your life? And how do I box you into a little space that I can tell who you are? Right? We need to get away from that. The way to get away from that is by, instead of seeing yourself in the time and space definition, be a kala named Rachel. What does a kala mean? Yearning. Kala is klota nefesh. It's I yearn. Every moment of your life, you want to switch to start yearning. Yearning like a Rachel. What's a Rachel in English? Rachel is a sheep. And the pasuk says, Ke Rachel lifnei gozezeha ne'elama. Like a sheep who in front of its shearers is mute. Sheep is associated with muteness. Why? Because what does sheep do? Sheep is like this dull, boring animal which just follows like sheep, seen in a negative sense. But if you could do that in a positive sense with Hashem, then you could become a bride, a kala to Hashem. It's to become mute in this world. Mute to Hashem. That means I'm ready to accept divine energy into me. So how do you become a sheep? We don't like to be sheep. We like to be hotshot executives. We like to believe that I can accomplish, I can do. So if I don't have any money, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to accomplish, I'm going to get the money. We put ourselves in the driver's seat. That's a very lonely space to be in. Sometimes it works, it's wonderful. Very often it doesn't work. But try this. Allow yourself to become a sheep. Sheep means I don't have to do anything. I'm just here and Hashem is taking care of me. The only thing is, you have to be crystal clear on what it is that you need. Because imagine a kala, imagine a wife, and she wants her husband to figure out what she needs. And he's like, totally, he has no clue. He's sitting there clueless of, what do you want? You have to understand what I want. But if you'd be very clear about what you want, it's very simple. When we want a relationship with Hashem, we want to break the cycle of loneliness, step one is to talk to God clear. And to say, Hashem, here's what I need you for. I need you because I don't have any money, and because this is, I'm struggling with this and this, and I'm suffering, and I'm really feeling, what are you feeling? I'm feeling down today, and I'm feeling sad, and I'm feeling worried, and I'm feeling skeptical, and you get in touch with whatever you're going through in your moment in life. And instead of saying, I'm going to try solve it, it's allowing Hashem to solve it. And that's hard for us, because like, what do you mean? I'm like, just going to, like, feminists today don't like this. What do you mean? I'm getting married and I'm allowing my husband to solve my problems? No way. I'm going to solve it. We're going to try be females, mekablim, recipients from Hashem. It means, Hashem, here's where I am, here's what I need. When you daven every morning, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be sharing your struggle with Hashem and realizing, I have no power to solve this problem. Hashem, you help me solve my problem. And I'm receiving, allowing yourself to be a recipient. It's hard to be a recipient, to accept. But that's what it means, to be a receptacle to Hashem. So here's the idea. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to allow myself to be Hashem. I'm ready to accept I'm feeling this and this and this. There's no money in my account. I have nothing going on and I need it and I'm feeling very helpless. And I ask Hashem to help me. And you'll see another voice inside you will say, that's ridiculous. Go do something about it. And you're like, nope, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just sitting down and talking to Hashem, and I'm telling Hashem what's needed. And I'm telling Hashem what I feel and where I'm holding, and I'm talking to God. Now, why am I doing that? Because everything you see in this world is divine energy that's flowing everywhere. Hashem's powers are flowing all over. When you want to feel connected and not abandoned, you need to tap into those powers. So it's like, I'm aware of it. I'm clear that Hashem makes me breathe, that Hashem makes me stand up, that Hashem makes me walk. I'm pretty clear about all that. But in the things that I'm in, like the money that I want, it's very difficult for me to accept it. I get it cognitively, I get it in the theory, but for me to actually live with a sense of feeling that Hashem is there is very difficult for me. Tapping into that energy is called becoming a kala. It's to notice how I'm helpless and I need Hashem's energy in my life. That's the kala part. Once you're there, now you're like, okay, and now I'm allowing the chassan to, I'm accepting a chassan into me. So the chassan, what's his name? Yaakov. Yaakov and Rachel. Right? Yaakov marries Rachel. Why is he called Yaakov? So Yeshayahu Hanavi explains it like this. He has a pasuk, and he says, "Oz yiboka kashachar oirecha." Then your light will penetrate, right, like the morning star, like the sun rises out of darkness, and suddenly you see light. That's what it's about. Yiboka is spelled Yud Beis Kuf Ayin, same letters as Yaakov. So why is he called Yaakov? Because Yaakov is the power to break through darkness and see the light. That's Yaakov. So Yeshayahu Hanavi says, Oz iboka kashachar oirecha, va'aruchoscha meheira titzmach. Aruchoscha is, arucha refuah is a cure. Aruchoscha means also your long one. Aroch. So Hashem is above and removed. And Hashem's power descends into this world through you. Everything that goes on in this world, regardless of whatever you do, is godly. Every single thing that transpires in this world is godly, but it doesn't look that way. It looks like you're in control, or you. Some people survive, some people make money, some people are successful, others are not. That's what it looks like. So when you're looking at it with external eyes, you don't see Hashem. What's really going on? Hashem is running the show every moment. What do you want to become? Rachel. Rachel means I'm a sheep. It means I let go. I can't do anything. I'm powerless. I'm realizing what I need, and I'm asking Hashem for those needs. And so you want to train yourself every morning to turn to Hashem, take the things you need today that are desperate for them, and turn to Hashem and realize I can't do them. Hashem, help me with such and such. I need your help. That's called being a sheep. That's called being a receptacle. Once you do that, you're ready for the chassan to penetrate you. And what does penetration mean? It's that moment when the chassan and kala, who are not a chassan and kala, just the man and the woman are sitting together, conversing. At some moment it happens, right? And then there's like, should we get married? And something happens in that moment. I remember I was, I think sometimes guys don't know how to do this. I was I think I met my wife. I met her once, and it wasn't such a good date. And then we spoke on the phone, I think, once or twice. And then went again, on the second date. I knew her for 6 days, 5 days, whatever it was. And then in the middle of the second date, she's like, and then just literally, she's like, okay, so when are we, she said like something like that, when are we finishing up? And I was like, what? And that moment, it was like a transformation. She was like, okay, let's, yalla. No, what are you waiting for? So I needed a bit more time and everything. But that moment it was like the connection moment. I remember it clearly. Every one of us has had that. There's a clarity in that. Because what happens at that moment is some things like you go from being just a boy and a girl, and there's a connection that's built. That connection is what we want with Hashem. So when you allow yourself to become a kala, and you're saying, Hashem, I'm ready to accept you. I realize I can't do this myself. Help, God. Then you allow the penetration of Hashem to come into you. Everything in this world is godly when you tap into it. There's a divine energy. And what you want to do is realize, okay, you know why you don't have money? Not because Hashem's trying to be mean to you. Because He wants you to discover that you need Him for it, and He's going to give you the money. And you feel whatever you feel, and you allow Hashem in, and then you allow the penetration to take place. That's oziboka kashachar erecha. And you look and you say, okay, Hashem, I'm ready. And then you'll feel like, okay, I want Hashem, I want to feel happy. I want to feel something that you can give me, and you allow that feeling to already seep into you. So step one is to notice what you don't have and to ask Hashem for it. Step 2 is to feel when Hashem is taking care of you. Just like, maybe it's not a color, a good example, maybe a little child who comes over to, I love it when my little kids come over to me and, my daughter comes the other day, I'm making a Shabbaton and I need, I think, $250, we're going for $250. And I was like, what do you want from me? Why is that my problem? I don't get it. And she doesn't even know what I'm talking about. She's like, I need to go, this is what's happening and whatever, and can I have your credit card? That's what it boils down to. In other words, she absolutely feels like it's if she needs it, it's my problem, and I got to deal with it. And that's exactly what it is. That's how you make it work. You come to Hashem, I need this thing, I need you to take care of me, and I need the divine energy to flow down. Hashem took godly sparks of energy and put them into this world. He called them Jews. He placed them in a dark world, and he says, what I want from you guys is to take this dark world and to light it up. Because do you know why the world is dark? It looks so bad. The world looks like a godless place. It's actually not. It's called Yoshes Choshech Sisroi. Hashem shrouds himself in darkness. Too much light is also darkness. You can't look at the sun. Hashem is covered in mystique, in darkness. When you see bad things happen in this world, it's not bad things. It's godliness that's hidden. And Hashem says, I'm going to put down an neshama into this world, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the darkness, in a horrible space, sometimes, that Hashem puts a human being, and he says, find the light, here and now. And there's a moment of discovery in life when you realize, oh my gosh, what he's telling me is that my life is awesome, that I'm in the best place I could ever be in, that there's godly, divine energy right here, right now. As long as I accept and I become a color, I'm not abandoned, I'm not alone, and I allow the chosn to penetrate me. It means everything's godly. Now look at it and discover it and feel it. You know how you feel it? You stop looking at the externality of time and space and what has to happen next and what happened in the past and what could be and what should be. Look at yourself right now and say, I'm feeling down and lonely and abandoned a bit, and I'm a kala. Hashem, I'm ready to accept divine energy. I'm ready to feel that there's Hashem in this moment. When you take a seed and put it underground, the seed has to decay. And then what happens? You put a little orange seed in the ground, and then miraculously, an orange tree with beautiful oranges comes out. How does that happen? It's just a piece of ground. It's not. The ground is divine space, which has in it power. It's not darkness, it's godly. Every place you're in is godly. So we say in davening, Zoreya tzedakot matzmiach yeshuot. When you implant in the ground, when you penetrate into the ground, you get salvation. Yeshuot. What's Yeshuot? Salvation. But it's the same word as ours. Sha'ot. Right? When you're living in this world, sit there and say, this moment that I'm in is holy. And I'm going to flip this moment. Instead of looking at myself and all the bad things that are happening to me, it's happening for me. And the Mishnah says, Yafa sha'a achat b'tshuva u'masim tovim ba'olam hazeh mikol chayei olam haba. One sha'a in this world, doing tshuva and good deeds is better than the whole world to come. What's a sha'a? An hour. What else is a sha'a? What? Yeshuas. A turn. That's why the sha'a is called a sha'a, because it turns. That's how we say in davening, Retzei Hashem Elokeinu v'litfilatam she'ei. Turn to us. If you're facing this way, it's all messed up. Tshuva masim tevi means, I face that way. If you could do that, every time you do that, in Olam Hazeh, it's better than the whole Olam Haba. It's better to be in that transitional space, whereby you look at your space and you can flip the moment. How do you flip the moment? Very simple to say. It's very hard to achieve. It means I don't need to accomplish anything to be worthwhile. I don't need to go any other place. I'm in the right place, the right spot, everything's perfect. And I can do Hashem's bidding in this moment. So it's me accepting that whatever Hashem's giving me is from Hashem here and now. Hard to accept. I accept and I allow Hashem to reveal to me the beauty of whatever I want. I'm not waiting for something else to happen to make it beautiful. That's the penetration of the chassan. And you say, but it's ugly, it's disgusting. It's not. It's only ugly if you're waiting for the next moment. If you start looking around and saying, all the things that I want, do I have it at all? And instead of living in the 99% of things you don't have, live in the 1% of things you do have, and that you really, really are that gives you meaning and life, and you live in that space. That's the she'eh, that's the turn, the change of the transition, the transformation of that hour. That's why it says, Yesh koneh olamo b'sha'a echat, which most people translate as you can get olam haba in one moment. No, you can get this world, olamo. Olam is helem, is concealment. You can acquire the whole concealment, you can win the battle in one sha'a, in one transformation. Yesh koneh olamo b'sha'a echat. If you're able to find in that sha'a, to find echat, to find Hashem is the echad, everything changes in one fell swoop. That's why when we look at chassan and kala, what do we wish the chassan and kala? So the chassan decided, you know what? I'm going to marry her. The kala allows herself, she's accepting the chassan into her life. So that's the romantic moment, the penetration. The moment where they feel something brand new. Wow, special. So they go from being two regular individuals to becoming a chassan and kala. So in your life, you want to do the same thing. You're feeling lonely because you're just going through life, just talking and just, no, it's not that. Your life is a chassan and kala. Hashem wants to marry you. Allow Hashem to marry you. I'm a kala, I'm in the space. And forget what the next moment is in the next space. It's right here. And I'm allowing Hashem to take over into my life. I allow God to take me over. And I accept. And then I start seeing Hashem's presence in my life. And you're like, and then what happens? Try it out and see what happens. But when the chassan and kala get married, there's we wish them a bracha. The bracha is samach to samach rei ma'ahuvin. Rei ma'ahuvin, the chassan and kala, they need simcha. And we get to a wedding and we make simcha. You know, in weddings, I motion to make, I know some people like to do it, I agree, to invite less people to the wedding. Because the guys in the back, by the chuppah, they shouldn't be there. They really shouldn't. They should cut the seats in half. And if you don't want to be there and know the chassan and kala and the people, you shouldn't be there. I'm saying to myself, I go to every wedding, but I go, but it's like, not every wedding do I know everybody. I don't know the people sometimes, and you still go. But you know when your friends get married, when you're like 21 and your friends are getting married, your best friends from seminary or you're from yeshiva is getting married, it's like so exciting. And you're there and you actually want to be there. There's a sense of simcha. And then there's circles of simcha around. So yeah, there's the friends of the parents, and then it goes further and further out, and then the guy on the side doesn't even know why he's there. I came because my wife came. That kind of thing. Around the chassan and kala is a tremendous simcha. Where does that simcha stems from? It stems from the chassan and kala who themselves are in a space of simcha because they had that penetration, that romantic moment. It's like, wow. When the kala says, yes, and the chassan gives that yes, the Gemara says, Rabavo, his face started to shine when he learned a brand new idea, a new tosefta. His face was beaming. Chassan and kala, because they got that brand newness, there's a beaming face. We're trying to do the same thing for each one of us every moment of our lives. To get married. What does that mean? Your face will beam if you stop trying to do the next thing and worrying about the next moment. That's where you put stress and worry all over your face. And the moment you're like, no, you're good where you are. You're Hashem's bride. And allow yourself to realize that and to allow Hashem into your life right now. And you're like, but what about all the things that I got to achieve? What about all the things I got to get to? So look at how we bench the Chassan and Kala. We say, Began Eden Mikedem. I think this idea is, when I saw this to me was life-changing. This concept, which is, how do the Chassan and Kala find happiness? When they realize Began Eden Mikedem, the way happiness was granted to the ones who were formed in Gan Eden at the beginning. There was the end of Gan Eden, which didn't look well when they ate the fruit. And then there was the beginning of Gan Eden. What was the beginning of Gan Eden? Well, what happened was there was nothing there. There was Gan Eden. And then Hashem decided, I'm going to make a chassan. I'm going to make Adam. And he put him inside. And then he saw Adam, wasn't working. Lonely guy. Let's make him a Kala. When Hashem made the first chassan and Kala, was there anything we could do about it? Was there anything we could have said to make him do it better? We didn't exist. We weren't around. We weren't in the picture. And so we were absolute creations, like little babies being created. The problem is, ever since then, we're put into a space where it looks all the time like, I can almost control one more thing. This I can do and then it'll work. You want to get happy? Go back to the space of realization that you can't do anything about anything. That's it's life transforming because it tells you how to arrive at happiness. It's the most absolute form of letting go. It's like, no, you don't have any control. Sometimes in life it looks like things are almost there, like you found the shidduch. Oh, that was great, that was easy. It wasn't. It was nothing short of miraculous. And the person Hashem put you with and the situation He put you with, Hashem is all the time absolutely running the show. And there's nothing you have to ever do and nothing you could do and nothing you should do. Nothing. Allow yourself to become a Kala. When you get to that space, that's the bracha. It's a bracha. A bracha means I'm going to draw the power of Hashem down into this world. I'm drawing Hashem's might into this world. That's what bracha means, to draw down. So we make a bracha. Samach tesamach reimahu v'Hashem. Grant this chassan and kala simcha. Because when a person is sad and down, they're stuck. Can't do anything. When you're sad, you're alone. And when you're alone, it's a space of abandonment, being stuck. When you allow yourself to realize, I'm not alone. Hashem made the first Adam and Chava, and He kept on making it ever since then. He's making this moment, that moment, and I'm accepting. My life is great. My life is awesome, where it is right now. I'm feeling a bit bitter and sad and depressed and anxious and this and this and this. Great. That's where I am. That's the Kala. Hashem, I want to see your energy here. I accept this is from you. That's from you. That's from you. This is the work. And Hashem, I need this, I need that, I need that. And I'm accepting that you're right there. And then I notice how the chassan penetrates me. It means Hashem comes talk to me and He says, I got you. Most people don't do this kind of work. Most people sit there like, okay, go make money. Ask Hashem for a cow. Ask Hashem, I'm from. Ask Hashem, bum, 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 bum. And I ask, what's davening about? Davening is about me realizing Hashem in my life and noticing God's presence by me and how He takes care of me, and then feeling that Hashem is the same as it was the first time, Began Eden Mikedem, and I'm in a state of absolute simcha, absolute happiness. It's interesting how the first, we say it twice in the Sheva Brachas. The first time we say, Meshamech, and then the bracha ends, Baruch atah Hashem Mesameach Chassan V'Chala. You make the chassan and kala happy. Why? Chassan v'kala. Because I'm going to be a color. I'm going to start seeing Hashem in my life. I'm going to start feeling it, and Hashem's going to penetrate me. It's great. And then what? You think you don't have to go do anything? You do. You got to go out and do the work. Now you got to go out and look for the chassan, the real one, the other one outside there. Now you got to go out and find the money, and you got to make calls, and you got to go to work, and you got to do your thing. Absolutely. You got into that space of realizing Hashem takes care of it, and now you got to go out and do it. Because the way Hashem works in this world, He says, let go, and then Hashem's going to run the show, and now go activate that. So you're not going to work, you're going to activate Hashem's power in your life. The next bracha talks about one day we will hear the voice of the chassan and the voice of the kala. What voice of the kala? Have you ever heard a kala at a chuppah? What does a kala say at the chuppah? She doesn't say okay. She just keeps quiet. What does the chassan say? He speaks. He marries her. So what does it mean? One day you'll hear the voice of the chassan and the voice of the kala. Kol sason v'kol simcha, kol chatan v'kol kala. There is no voice of the kala. She's mute. One day when Mashiach comes, we will sense the inaudible voice. The mute voice will be so loud that you'll realize its awesome and unbelievable powers. When you look at a home and you're trying to figure, it looks like the husband's the one in control and he's the one who's running it or whatever, right? You look a little deeper and you discover that there's a voice behind, which is actually the one that's running the show. It's not audible, but it's the voice. That's the kol kala. It's like feminism, except feminism doesn't mean that one day we'll discover that females are males and they're also just as good and they can also do everything males can do. No. One day you'll discover that the female voice, the voice of a yid who's able to just accept Hashem into his life, just realize, no, Hashem, I'm accepting you and I'm not lonely. That's the most powerful voice ever. That inaudible voice is actually the most powerful tool you could ever use. Because when we talk about this over here in this forum, right, it sounds like, okay, right, what have we said? To summarize, we're saying like this. You feel lonely in life, it feels difficult, yeah, and you have all the things happening and you're walking in time and space. Okay, it feels lonely because it's godless. And what you want to do is ein atzvus lifnei hamokim. You want to go before time and space, before Hashem created us. Yes, Hashem created us the first time. Yes, Hashem keeps creating us. You want to let go and realize I have no control. And so you talk to Hashem and you say, I'm feeling these negative feelings. And I know you're right here and I'm accepting you. I'm accepting you. You want me to be negative? It is what it is. And I'm accepting it. And thank you, Hashem, for this moment. And I see that, Hashem, I want to feel happy. And I see the happiness right there. The moment you live your life that way, I'm a kala. I'm bringing the chassan into me. That whole dance which you do inside, the kala, becoming a kala, allowing the chassan to penetrate. That's what allows you to start seeing the pnimius, the inside of time and space. And it becomes this. But you still got to go do work, because the kala's voice is not so audible nowadays. It's chassan וכלה. But after, when Mashiach comes, then we'll hear the voice of the kala. Then these kind of shiurim, this kind of class will become the mainstream. It'll be what's out there. Because you'll say, oh my gosh, that's the voice of kol kala. That's why that bracha ends and it says, Baruch atah Hashem mesameach chatan ima kala. Bracha number 6, chatan וכלה. Bracha number 7, chatan ima kala. What does that mean? We translate chassan with a kala? Deeper. How are you mesameach the chassan? With a kala. The kala is the one who's got the power to be mesameach the chassan. We only feel abandoned when we're not married. When we get married and allow Hashem into our lives, allow Hashem into us. It's a discovery that I thought I trusted Hashem, I thought I believed in Hashem, and I realized I didn't really. Just things were good. And then when things are not so good, it's like you cling to Him and you're forced into that deep relationship, and it goes deeper and deeper. And you realize, forget time and space, forget the next thing. Right now, Hashem is in this space. And that connection is then built between us and Hashem. And one day you'll discover that that's the way to get the ultimate simcha of the chassan, the things you got to go do and accomplish. With the kala, the letting go is divine and godly. in the greatest way.